This Saturday night and Sunday is the holiday of Lag BaOmer. Now, what is Lag BaOmer? Lag is the Hebrew letters Lamed and Gimel, and the Lamed has a numerical equivalent of 30, and the Gimel is 3. So 33. It's the 33rd day of the Omer, which is the time period where we're counting the days between Passover and Shavuot, as I've mentioned before. So what's the significance of Lag BaOmer, of the 33rd day of the Omer? Well, there's a couple things that are significant. One is that it celebrates the passing of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who was a great sage and a mystic, and he's considered to be the father of Kabbalah, so to speak. He is said to have authored the Zohar and really taught the foundational concepts of Kabbalah and what later would be taught as Chassidut, or Hasidic philosophy. It also commemorates the ending of a plague in which the disciples of Rabbi Akiva, who was the greatest sage of his generation, all passed away, and this plague stopped, and some 24,000 students had died, and on Lag BaOmer, it stopped. Now, there's many customs on Lag BaOmer, some of which you may be aware, and some of which you may be not. And so I want to just briefly talk about 6 customs that we do on Lag BaOmer. One, probably the most famous one, is to light bonfires. So we light bonfires to commemorate the immense light that the teachings of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai brought into the world through his mystical teachings. And the Zohar also says that when he passed away, there was an immense light and fire that filled his house, to the point where those who were there couldn't even approach or look at Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Second custom, especially in the land of Israel, is to go to Meron. The biggest Lag BaOmer celebration in the world is in Meron, which is where Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is buried. And so every year, hundreds of thousands attend these festivities, and there's just nonstop partying. I've never been, unfortunately, but I've heard it's an amazing, amazing experience. So if you are in Israel and you have the chance this Saturday night and Sunday to go to Meron, I strongly suggest you go. Third is we shoot a bow and arrow, safely, of course. It's customary for children to go out into the field and play with bows and arrows. And the reason for this is the word for a bow is a keshet. And it's also the same word for a rainbow. And it's said that when God is upset with the world, he brings a rainbow to remind him of his covenant not to destroy the world. But in the years of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, his merit alone protected the world, and so there was no need for rainbows. So to remind us of this, we go out and shoot a bow and arrow on Lag BaOmer. 4, this is a rather modern one, is to attend a Lag BaOmer parade. The Lubavitcher Rebbe would encourage going to children's parades on Lag BaOmer, and there is going to be a tremendous parade, especially because Lag BaOmer is on a Sunday this year. If you are in the New York area, go to Crown Heights, 770 Eastern Parkway, to experience the Grand Parade. I believe it starts around 10 a.m., if I'm not mistaken, but you can look that up online. 5 is to eat carobs. For a period of 13 years, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and his son were fugitives from the Roman government, and that's a story in and of itself that I'm not going to get into now. And so they hid in a cave. And while they were hiding in this cave, there was a miracle that happened. A stream of water was directed towards the cave, as well as carob trees that grew. So they were able to sustain themselves on the carobs that grew from that tree. So it's customary to eat carobs. And finally, it's a day of tremendous joy. During the Omer, it's a period of mourning, because as I said, the plague that happened with Rabbi Akiva's students is a very sad time. And so we don't cut our hair, we don't listen to music, and so on. There's other customs as well. But on Lag BaOmer, these restrictions are lifted. We listen to music, many people have hair-cutting ceremonies, and it is a very joyous, happy time, even though also that it's on the Yortzeit, it's on the anniversary of the passing of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, which would seem to be another reason to mourn. But nevertheless, he had commanded that he wanted his Yortzeit to be a festive, joyous day. Now, all of these things you can read more about on Chabad.org. There is a beautiful list of these and has more information, much more explanation on why we have these customs and much, much more. I strongly suggest you take a look at it. But nevertheless, have a Shabbat Shalom, a peaceful Shabbat, and a very happy Lag BaOmer.